Sir, Brave but Bold series, is that one of the reasons why you chose this as the medium to exhibit this film and perhaps not the big screen?
See, there are two reasons for that. See, one is, as a filmmaker, my job is to tell a story, and then after that you need to tell it as effective as possible, for want of a better word, okay? Now, a theatrical film, obviously, there is a certain restriction, could be of censor, could be of the kind of audience who will come in, all kinds of people will come in. It's because it's an audience of in hundreds when they sit in a group. And so you obviously have to have certain restrictions, both legal and commercial and various other considerations. But when on the web you're telling a story, you're actually telling it to one person at a time, and he's only coming there if he's interested in the subject matter, and he also is aware of what he's going to see. So I think nothing will be lost in translation in terms of how effectively I can tell. So I know so much about the underworld. And even if you look at the language or certain imagery, which is like a part and thing, like when you see a foreign film or something, you don't feel it as long as it is coming in a context. But trying to hide it or trying to water it down, I think it is doing injustice to the aspect of what it is supposed to be. For example, first time one saw an imagery was in Bandit Queen,
right,
and Shekhar Kapur made some 25 years back. But you know it is coming in a context. It is not meant for a certain reason. Or first time you heard expletives in Satya, which came in 99 or 98. Even there, they felt it in context. So I think if you've seen it, you know that not a single shot is being did for effect. And you know that they're all a part of a certain world. And the language and images, I think, are an intrinsic part of the world. That is what my whole point is.
So, but talking about imagery, I think this is the first time perhaps you have pushed the envelope as far as web series goes. Female nudity is not something that we often see even in Indian web series. So, how did you tackle that subject, and how much of a preparation did it take from the actors' end?
I mean, I would say that when I met, actors or actresses, the kind of certain things which are required, when I told them my intention and I told them what exactly it means, and world over, you see, first of all, web series is a digital world. It is not bound by areas. It is not like it is being seen only by people in this region. The digital world is a separate world. It's an alternative world. You know, I can watch a Narcos which is being made in Colombia, and a subtitle version, people in South Indian villages are watching Narcos. So I think when you come to digital or web series, you should not think in terms of cinema or a certain group or a certain region or a certain kind of people watching. I mean, you might have 500 people watch it in Colombia, you might only have 10 people watch in Bangalore, for example, I'm saying. That happens all the time in the digital world.
As a filmmaker,
So when I explained this, even the actors and whoever were involved, they were convinced with my sincerity and my logic, and they trusted me with how I will do that. Yeah.
As a filmmaker, like the 90s, this underworld was rampant in the industry, our film industry. So what was your experience like? And many of your films are also on underworld.
Yeah.
And
see, there are 2 points. One is, I don't know if underworld is relevant today as much as in the I think it pretty much lost its high in 2005, I would think, around that. Maybe that's around 10 years back, 10, 12 years back. But the point is, when you're telling a story, I don't think it's about whether it is happening now or it happened like in the 1920s is when the mafia started in America just after the Prohibition time. And pretty much by 1950s it got over. And Godfather was made in early 70s, 1973. So I think any time you see a story, it is eventually the characters and the situation. Then it's a genre. Mafia is a crime drama. We all understand like even Satya, when people said, how does Ramu know so he really knows them, he portrayed them realistically. But who did anyone meet a gangster? How do they know it is real? They're connecting to the emotions which seem real, which is the reason it looks real. The pretty much same thing stands for it. Like in the voiceover it explains, why was there escalated criminal activity happened between 1995 and 2005? Because after the breakup of the D company, a lot of other gangs were trying to fight. You can understand that. It's like a company breaks up, all the competitors will try to corner the market. Exactly the same thing which will happen even in the underworld. So that will create situations, that will create characters, that will create interrelationships which you normally never see otherwise all the time.
Yeah. So is the nexus between, I mean, the way we see between Bollywood and underworld today still as strong as it was perhaps a decade ago?
Not necessarily. To start with, first of all, I think it's a misconception. People think that there's a nexus between the underworld and Bollywood. See, there are two reasons. Underworld never put money, which is a misconception. Because underworld also has to put money. Why is it underworld? I mean, it defeats the purpose. You know, most of the time, either they use it for publicity, you know, and they used to get a high to scare who we think are stars and big filmmakers, you know. And the third thing is they used to help friends by making a phone call, things like that. But pretty much the underworld at that time was in a mood of being in the news. They were just very publicity crazy at that time, you know, apart from other reasons what I mentioned. But when the CIU was created, the Encounter Corps in 98 to 99, pretty much by 2004 they killed most of the gangsters, you know. So that created a huge, I mean, they also lost a lot in terms of their power and everything. So that pretty much signaled, like I said, the end of it. And disbanding of the Encounter Squad in 2005 more or less is a signal that the underworld as a force has been completely reduced.
So will we get to see the series on YouTube?
Yeah, of course. I mean, see, right, the point is, whether it's on YouTube or Vimeo, it is eventually made for the digital market.
No, correct. The reason why I'm asking that is because YouTube has a no nudity clause. Unless
see, then it might come in age restriction, depending upon how they will react.
Yeah. It is allowed only if it is
That's
for
not
educational
true.
or scientific.
That's not
I
true.
think so.
That's not true.
What's it? Because you've majorly made crime dramas and gangster stories. So, have you ever been at the receiving end because the subject matter that you're dealing with involves a lot of risk? So, has that ever happened?
Well, see, but if I'm still alive, then I was not on the receiving end.
No, but in a way, perhaps that you were ever threatened by any of that. Because the subject is.
I mean, to be serious, see, to start with, first of all, why would the underworld have any problem with anyone making? Underworld is a kind of an illegal business organization, for the want of a better word. And they are not concerned about, they are not like terrorists who are selling an ideology. They are not trying to sell a certain thought and the way they think a filmmaker is trying to counter them. You know? So pretty much I think they would either ignore or they will be thinking that there might have been some things wrongly or too wrongly portrayed. Otherwise, technically speaking, they have no reason to be. Yeah, it's very much like if I make a film on businessmen won't be upset with me, no? You know?
Sir, why have you chosen to cast new actors, relatively new actors in this?
See, I think I wanted to have a very heightened sense of reality in the thing where I believe that if known actors are there, it will look like you are seeing a person perform because you know the person, you have seen that person in other films or wherever. But if it's an unknown actor, I think you take him like a character, which is what worked in Satya also. Imagine if I have very known faces in Satya, I don't think it would have looked the same.
And whose voice was that? The lady who was Leo?
That is Rohini Hattangadi's.